Good morning, everybody. My topic for this morning will be on witnessing and the importance of us going and witnessing and sharing the gospel. We have to share Jesus Christ. We must. Jesus is not standing here physically in the room so we can see him, so we have to be Jesus in this world. For many people in this world, the only time that they will see Jesus, see an example of Christ, is when we share the gospel. You know, it's funny, Pastor Mark was talking about, during Sunday school, he was speaking about how God had spoken to him about missions and about sharing the gospel. And, you know, it's a really good point that he made. And it's interesting because that's the same point that I was planning to make this morning. Let's open in a word of prayer and ask God to bless the service this morning. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to come here. And we ask you to please bless this service. I pray that you please touch people's hearts. And I pray that we will all understand the importance of us being good witnesses for you. In Jesus' name I pray. Let me find my notes. So, first of all, I want to speak about our foundation. Our foundation is Jesus Christ. We must accept Christ. There's only one way into heaven, and that's through faith in Jesus. Works cannot get you to heaven. Now, if I spend my whole life doing good things and giving money to poor people and trying to do right and doing as much good as I can, it will never be enough to earn my way into heaven. It is not possible. Our foundation is Jesus Christ. Now that does not mean we should not do good works. Christ blesses our works, and he does when we do them for him. We need to be Christ-like and be as Christ was, but that alone will not get you to heaven. First, I'd like to look at James chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. Daily food. And one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body. What doth it profit? Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. So what that means is, yes, we have faith in Jesus Christ, and that is important, and faith must be our foundation. Jesus Christ is our foundation, and the only way to heaven is through faith in Jesus Christ. But if people have needs, if somebody needs food, or if they don't have clothing, or if they don't have their basic needs, if we don't give them anything, we have not shown our faith. We have to act in obedience to our faith. We must become Christ-like. If we show faith and if we see people who are in need and we give them the things that they need, they will see Christ's love through us. If we're generous to people, that's a testimony to Christ. We need to share the blessings that Christ has given us. Sometimes being Christ-like means giving somebody a verse to help them. Sometimes it means giving them their basic needs so that they can see that Christ is working through you and see the love of Christ and realize that they need Christ's love in their life. We need to share the gospel. We need to share our blessings with others. We need to be generous. We need to give what God has given to us. So the first point I'm trying to make is that faith without works is dead. That does not mean you need to work for your salvation. Salvation is through faith alone. For by grace are you saved through faith. But once you are saved, you must live out your faith in Christ through your works. Now turn to 1 John chapter 2 and verses 4 through 6. It says in verse 4, He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also to walk, even as he walked. That goes hand in hand with what we just looked at in 1 Peter. We must emulate Christ's behavior. We must do what he has taught us. Our testimony is important. How we witness is important. How people see Christ through us is important. If somebody is hungry and you walk up to them and you say hello and then you go on your merry way, how does that help them? If a person, especially if that person knows you're a Christian and you see they're in deep need and you ignore that need, where's the love of Christ in that? How is that person supposed to see the love of Christ in you? We must show love. We must follow his commandments. We must follow Christ's example. We must show Christ's love in everything we do. So again, if you see somebody who's hungry, somebody who has a need, maybe you see somebody on the side of the road just begging for food. If you give them something for food, you can also give them a tract, and that'll show them the love of Christ. And then they'll see that Christians really do care about them. And maybe they'll understand that if Christians care about them, that means Christ cares about them. And now you have the opportunity to share the gospel. If you have faith, but you don't show your faith, how are others going to be saved? If people don't see Christ in your life, how are they going to understand the love of Christ? How are they going to understand the need for salvation? They won't. We need to be a testimony to the lost. Now turn to Matthew chapter 28 and verse 19. It says, Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. This is just what Pastor Mark was speaking about this morning. This is the exact same point he was making. We have to share the gospel. We have to. We must. This isn't optional. We are required to share the gospel. Christ commanded us. Like Pastor Mark said, these verses are written in red in most of your Bibles. That means this is a commandment from Christ. This is a commandment directly from God. God didn't give this to somebody else to pass along to us. Jesus Christ himself commanded us to go go and share the gospel. This is so important. If I'm saved and I keep the gospel to myself, then the lost around me will never see Christ. What a terrible testimony. God has given me the gift of salvation. How could I possibly keep that to myself? I have to share it. I have to show that to other people so that they too can be saved and spend eternity in heaven. If I see the lost and I choose not to share the gospel, how selfish of me. We need to share with all the world. We can't keep this gift to ourselves. We need to share the love of Christ, share the gift of salvation. When Jesus was here on the earth, he showed people how they can come to God, and we need to show people that same thing. There's only one way to heaven, and we know what that way is. But if we hold on to it and keep it a big secret, then what about the lost? They'll never know. It is our responsibility to share the gospel. We are responsible. If Christians who are faithfully serving God refuse to share the gospel, who will? If we don't tell the lost about Christ, who's going to tell them? How will the world ever hear about Christ? We have to be the ones to have a burden to share the gospel. Christians are the only people who can. We are the ones with that opportunity. You've been given the great gift of salvation, the knowledge of the gospel. Don't keep that for yourself. Christ emphasized that we are responsible to share with the lost. We need to go in the world and share the gospel. Imagine in heaven, if you get there and realize that your loved ones are not there with you, and your friends are not there with you, and it's because you never shared. It's going to be your fault that they're not in heaven, because you never shared. If you share with somebody and they reject it, that's their decision. But if we never even share the gospel, how are they ever to know the way to salvation, the way to heaven? It's our responsibility. We need to follow God's commandment. We were just looking in 1 John chapter 2. And it said, essentially, if you don't follow God's commandments, then you don't truly love God, because if we truly love God, then we will follow his commandments. And the last verse I have to look at is Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. Weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. What that's trying to say is that sometimes you may feel that you've witnessed and witnessed and witnessed and shared the gospel and shared the gospel and shared the gospel, and nobody has accepted Christ. That may seem discouraging sometimes, but we don't know what those people do later on down the road. Maybe you'll never see that person accept Christ, but later in their life, they'll remember that you shared with them, and they will turn to Christ. That can happen. We don't know what God does. We can't predict the future. God knows what will happen, but we don't know. We can't see what's going to happen in the future. Sometimes it feels like we've been working so hard and we feel exhausted and we don't see any fruits in our labor and we just get discouraged and want to quit. But if we quit, then we can't quit serving God. We must follow your family members? What's going to happen to your friends who don't know Christ? What's going to happen to them if we don't share the gospel with them? If you don't share the gospel with them, how are they going to see Christ? We cannot give up. We must endure. We must continue working for God. God is all-knowing. He has everything set in His time. You know, and sometimes we have plans and they don't always line up with what God has planned. And sometimes our desires aren't what God intends. And sometimes it seems like nothing's going right and all this work is in vain. But God has a will and God has a plan, and God knows that we're serving Him. And God wants us to share the gospel, even if we don't see the fruits of that. God wants us to work and faint not. We have to continue working for Him. We cannot give up. And I know sometimes it seems tiring, and sometimes it seems like nothing's going how we thought, and nothing's working out right, and nothing's going how we intended, but maybe that's not how God intended. Everything will play out how God intends. And we must follow His commandments, regardless of what results we see. Our responsibility isn't to make things work out right. Our responsibility is to share the gospel. We must tell the lost about Jesus. We must tell them for their sakes that they need Christ.
What are you doing?
If we decide not to share the gospel, we're being so selfish. That's a direct commandment from Jesus Christ Himself to share the gospel with the lost. We need to obey. Thank you.